Hello everyone, I hope all of you are doing well. So in this video we will go over lab 2 from unit 3, which is about JavaScript. I was planning to do this lab along with lab 1, but eventually lab 1 took a very long time. It was about 1 hour, I think. So I didn't want to extend that video. So in this video, we'll quickly go over lab 2, which is basically an extension of the lab, I think lab 6 from unit 2, which was about creating a website for Hosting Central. We've already done this before. So I've quickly opened up the index file from that unit, which again, I will, just like other YouTubers, I will add a link in the description for that. Wow, that was lame. Okay, so I will add a link again, so you can go and refer to that video if you don't know about this. But um, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I have the index document open, which is very similar. I mean, if you look at the page, okay, first of all, let me show you how this basically looks. So view, if I'm correct, yeah, view in edge. Okay, this is how it looked. If I make it 100%, this is how it looked. And currently we need to make it something like this, okay, which half of it is very similar. This part is similar to the index page. The only thing that's different is this portion here. Let me copy this and put it in Paint so I can, you know, refer to the sections. So basically all we're going to focus on is this section. We'll try to create this section because the remaining are actually very similar or the same, exactly the same as the index page. If you take a look at it here, um, like it's similar, right? So let's do that. For that, for like in order to do this, what I'm going to do is I will create a new um, index file, sorry, a new HTML file. I will save it as contact.html and then just change it to all types, save, and now we have contact.html. So I'll copy the whole thing from index, paste it here, okay, and then the only section that's different is instead of the plans, like I'll remove everything that's there in plans, and let's take a look at it. So view current file in Edge. Okay, there it is. I will just probably add the link for, oh, we already have contact.html. So if I click on it, it would be, okay, that's fine. Okay, so here we need to code it so that it looks something like this. Okay, I'll probably just close this and show you in Paint. So if we take a look at it, the form itself, there are two divisions that are floating, okay, and the first division, it shows the contact details, and the second division, there's a form that once you fill the form, it should allow you should be able to submit and retrieve last message. Now in this part of the lab, what you're going to do is you'll take all the details that are there in the form and store that in local storage, and once you click on retrieve last message, it reads from the local storage and displays in the form. Okay, now okay, one thing that we should take care of is if any of the fields are empty, if anything that's let's say the user just added their name and they forgot or they didn't add the rest of the details, you have to tell the user here, somewhere here, so maybe in this section you will write some text for the user that please enter blah blah blah. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's quickly do that. I will keep this here and I'm sorry, this is lab 1 exporting. I'm sorry about that. I'm doing this back to back, so forgive me for that. What was I going to open? Yeah, paint. So we'll keep paint here, and then we will keep edge here. Okay, and then make it a little small so it's readable. Okay. Sorry. So now I'll rename this section because I need to what's it called? I need to style it in CSS as well, right? So the plans, it already exists in index and we only have one CSS file. So if I name this plan and try to make any changes to, I try to add any styling to plans, it will affect the plans division in index file here also, which is here, okay? So just rename it to, let's say, contact, okay? And we have two divisions within contact. Let's name it the first one as details. Okay, I hope I'm not using this already. And the second one as form. So ID and form. Okay, so my first division, details, is going to be this part. And the second one is going to be the form. Okay, for let's try to code for what's it called? The first section for the details. Here, let's see what ID I used. I mean, what I used for the headings. Yes, so for the headings, I used H1, right, previously. So I'm going to keep the same format. I will say heading H1 is contact details. Okay, and then after that, we have, I think that is H3, postal mail. And then I have a UL, an unordered list, which has a list item as, I have no idea what it says, but let's try to read it. 160, 180, web flower, tower, San Diego, California, and 10680 USA. Okay, then the next thing is, I think, I don't know if LH is going to work, but let's see, posted mail, because I think that there was something called LH. Yeah, it's not going to work as I thought. Okay, so we'll just keep it as H3 and then UL. So the same thing for this next section, which is our emails. And then you have sales at hosting.com. And then the next one is support at hosting.com. Okay, and finally telephone, going to use the same telephone, and they have some random numbers, 0700207 I mean, it doesn't matter if it's wrong. I mean, we're going to call on those numbers, but all we care is about the website. So 8300. Okay, and that's how it looks for now. We'll code it. I mean, we'll style it in a minute. The next thing is the form. We need to focus on the form now, right? So we have something called, so in the next division which we created, we need to write H1, which is contact form. Okay, and then I will start a form. The method again, get on submit is not submit, what should we name? Send. Okay, and then the first thing, again, this is displayed as a table. Okay, so I will use table. Has how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the two buttons. 5. Okay, so 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then each of the rows, for each of the rows you have two columns. So TD, the first one is name, and then TD input. Let's move it a bit here. Yeah. Input should be type because it's name, text, and then I will give it an ID, which is name, and that's it. You can give a placeholder. You can add required as well. Let's add required as well. Okay. The same thing for email. So here, oops, okay, TD email, TD input type email, because we don't want the user to write anything else. ID should be email. Let's make it required. Okay, and next one is subject. So TD subject, and then TD again for input, which is type text, ID subject required. Okay, and then we have the last one, not the last one, the second last one, message, and then now here, if you notice, it's not like a regular input. It has multiple lines, right? For that, you can use text area instead of input, and for text area, there's a closing tag. Okay, and if you want to display anything in text area, you would just write it here. Okay, now here you can give it an ID as well, which is message. Type will be text. ID. Oh, we give ID and maybe required. Okay, now we're done with that. The last one, we have one. The first column is for error, so I will just give it an ID error. The second column has two buttons basically. The first button is input, so the first button is submit, so input type submit, value for the name of the text in the button is submit. Okay, and the second one is just input type is equal input type should be button, because you can only have one button, that's submit. So when you click on submit, that's when we need to send the details. Okay, but when you click on retrieve last message, you're just retrieving it from the local storage, so will not create it as a submit button. So the value for this will be retrieve last, if I wrote it correctly, I don't know the spelling, but yeah, retrieve last message, and then on click, let's say read. Okay, on click, so when you click on this button, go to read, but when you click on submit, you should not evaluate, you should do whatever is required to do in the form. Okay, so here we need to create two methods in JavaScript, send and then read. Okay, let's see, how it looks for now. Okay, the form is below there. And yeah, let's quickly add CSS and then finally we will do JavaScript. So for CSS, just like, where is it? We have first, second, third, all of that, right? Yeah, so maybe I will just use plan instead of form because most of the things are already correct and the rest of the things I can add them using, oh, not form, not here, sorry, my bad. I didn't mean here, I meant here. Instead of contact, I can just say plans because most of the things are the same. Okay, yeah, most of the things are the same. I'll just add the remaining stuff here. Okay, using ID for using details and then using form because everything is within these two. So the details should be details should float left and the width should be 50%. Okay. Similarly, for the form, it should float. Oh, you can, because it's the same, right? So I can just write details and then forms. I think it's form, not forms. Okay, yeah. It's form, right? Yeah. So both details and form should float left and the width of them should be 50%. Okay. Now, the color should be, okay, let's say in details, there is H3, right? It should have the same color that is there in H1. Yeah, this color. Or I can just write it here. So for H1 and then plans H3. Okay, so those became yellow, orange, whatever that color is. Now I need to work with the form. Okay, so I'll just remove this from here. I will say form has a table, right? That table width should be 100%. 100%? I don't know. Let's see, 100%. Okay, it wasn't 100%, but anyway, the width should be 100%. And the TR, okay, can I write color here? Let's see. If not, then we'll move it to TD. Oh, okay, so that's fine. Let's move it, make it a bit big. Okay, so we have name, we have email, subject, message, submit, and then retrieve. For the table in the form, if there's a TD, put a padding of, let's say, 10 pixels. That's a lot. 5. Let's try 5. Okay, that's decent. Does it look similar? Okay, you can make this a bit like this as well. Yeah, I feel like it's similar. Okay, when you click on submit, now something should happen. You should take, first of all, it should check if everything is filled, which it should already check because if I click on submit now, it's going to tell me fill out because I added required. right? Uh, if when I add all the values and press on submit, it should save it in the local storage. Okay, and then when I click on retrieve, it should get from the local storage. So in order to do that, let's put it here. Okay. What was I going to do? Yeah. So now we need to add JavaScript in contact.html. So script, and the type should be text slash JavaScript. And then you should have two methods. Remember, it should be, the first one should be send, and then the second one should be read. Okay. Now, in the send method, we should create the variables for each of the inputs. Variable name is equal to document dot get element by ID name, because we gave the ID name. Did we give the ID name? Yeah, ID is name, email, subject, and message. So name dot value. Why value? Because it's within the rectangle box. Anything with that within the rectangle box is either read or written using value. Okay, so the next one is var email is equal to document dot get element email dot value. Var subject is equal to document dot get element subject dot value, and the last one is var message is equal to document dot get element. You should be, I mean, you should have this memorized by now. Okay, now we have to store these in the local storage. So I'm going to say local storage dot set item. You use set item for storing. Okay, so set item, and then you give it an ID, just like for each of the inputs we gave an ID. Similarly, we need to, for storing also, we need to give an ID. So name, copy the same thing. This will be email, um, email, and then subject, message, oops, spelling mistake, message. Now this will store it in the local storage, and I can finally just display an alert saying email message successfully sent. Message successfully sent. Okay, now let's see how that works here. Let's keep it to 100 so it looks good. Let's refresh. Oops, okay. Now I'll just make it a bit big. My name, wait, can I choose another name? Okay, my name. Um, let's say, yeah, quotation. Hi there, can I please get a quotation? I don't know, it doesn't make sense, but whatever. Okay, submit. Message successfully sent. Okay, now when I click on retrieve last message, it should show me what was there, which is, by the way, the method read. It should show me everything in this form, what was saved, right? So Here, I will just copy this line. For each of them, it's going to say local storage dot get item, and then you just provide the ID. Okay, and the same thing for the rest. So instead of, so you're going to say, this means get the value, sorry, get the element and it change its value to whatever was stored in the local storage with this ID. Okay, now if I click on that, if I refresh, first of all, retrieve last message. Yay, that's how it should be. I don't like why this is so small. I think we can change. Where's the message? Here, maybe rows 10, column 10. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but okay. So columns, rows worked, columns didn't. Maybe for rows, I can make it, for columns, I can make it 20, and rows, I can make it 5. No, it's not. The column is not working for some reason. Oh, columns, maybe. Okay, 10. Yeah, okay. Okay, I found it. 25. Maybe 35. I don't know, I'm just trying to make it look pretty. Yeah. Now, that's pretty much it. The one thing we didn't do was with the error. I'll just show you how to do it, although I don't feel it's necessary because I added required everywhere. But let's assume that I remove required from here. Okay, so I remove required from name, and when the person submits, I can check if name is not equal, or if it's equal to this thing, if it's empty, then I can say that document dot get element by ID, and then error, we named it error, right? Dot inner HTML should be equal to enter name. Okay, otherwise do all of this. Okay, sorry, I cannot. Yeah, okay, it's just OCD. So it will say error here, and then why did I use error? Because I named that column as error. Okay, so if I refresh this and add, let's say, submit, it's going to tell me enter name, but the color should be yellow. So I'm going to go back to styles, and I will say for the error, just make it yellow. And I don't even know the color for this yellow. Let's look at it here. Let's use this one. Oops. Okay. Let's try again. Add all of these details. Submit, enter name. Okay, but if you retrieve the last message, it is still the last one. Okay, that's it. this is lab 2. I hope you understood the lab. And yeah, thank you for watching.